Everyone keeps asking the same question right now. Is the Albuquerque housing market slowing down, or is it just catching its breath? And pardon me while I watch my notes, because we're going to be covering a lot of statistics and numbers, and I want to make sure that I get them all right. So, is it slowing down, or is it just catching its breath? So, December 2025 numbers just dropped, and they tell a really interesting story. And it's one that's a lot more balanced and nuanced than the headlines would make you think. So if you're thinking about buying or selling or just trying to stay, up to date on what's happening in the real estate market in 2026, stay with me, because these stats are going to matter more than you think. So I'm Angela. I'm a real estate agent here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and today we're going to break down the December 2025 monthly statistical highlights for the Southwest MLS market area. And so that covers Albuquerque, Corrales, Placitas, Rio Rancho, Bernalillo, the East Mountains, the Estancia Basin, which is sort of northeast of Albuquerque, and most of Valencia County, sometimes even into Socorro. So all of this data comes from the Greater Albuquerque Realtors Association, GAR, and this is the green sheet that they put out monthly for the realtors. So as always, the numbers are reliable because we've looked at the data. My job is just to translate them into the real world meaning for you guys. So let's talk about the big picture. What was the market like in Albuquerque in December 2025? So bear in mind, December is always slower for the holidays, right? People are not wanting to move. People maybe took their houses off the market for the holidays because they didn't want to deal with the idea of having to move or doing a transaction during that time, which is totally understandable, right? It's always chaos. But what's important to know is how it compares to last year and the year-to-date trends, and not just the month-to-month noise, right? Because that's always variable. This is a market that stayed remarkably stable in 2025, despite all of the noise that tells you otherwise. And it could be just that it's the Albuquerque market, which is a little bit different. So let's start with new listings. For detached homes, new listings were up 3.3% compared to December of 2024, and that's 3.7% up year to date. So that tells us something important. Sellers did not disappear in 2025 despite interest rates staying a little higher than we had hoped. Attached homes, so thinking condos and townhouses, also continued to come on the market, but at a lower rate, and that's pretty normal for our area. So sellers are still confident. Life events are still driving moves, right? We think about the 4 Ds: divorce, diapers, diamonds, and death. And those are the things that make people sell. The market didn't freeze, right? Because life is still happening. So let's talk about pending sales. And this is where we see buyer behavior. For detached homes, pending sales were down 7% compared to December of 2024, but only down 0.1% year to date. So that tells me the buyers didn't vanish either. They just slowed down and became more selective. I think in general, people were just kind of seeing how things were going. And this is classic normalize after a frenzy behavior. People are negotiating again, they're thinking, they're staying away from houses that are overpriced or poorly presented. Excuse me. Closed sales for detached homes are essentially flat. So they're down 0.1% over year to year and up 0.7% year to date, which really, that's not really statistically significant. Closings reflect contracts. So this tells us the pipeline stayed relatively healthy, pretty stable throughout 2025. So let's talk about prices. So for detached homes, right? Single family homes, the median sale price was $370,000, and that's up 1.6%. That's year over year and 3% year to date. The average sale price, let me back this up for just a second. The average sale price is, I just lost my teleprompter. Hang on. How embarrassing to lose my notes. Let's see. All right. Oh, the average sale price was $425,000, 571. 427,571. That's up 0.9%, and that's up 4.5% year to date. So for attached homes, and people receiving 98.3% of what they asked. So if they asked for $100,000, they got $98,000, right? I mean, we're not finding $100,000 homes unless they're tear down, but that's what it is. So attached homes, so our condos and townhouses, the median sale price for those is $266,900, and the average sale price for those, right, is $267,160, and people are still receiving about 98% of the list price. So there's a little wiggle room in prices, not a ton, but there is some room for negotiation, right? Houses are taking a little bit longer to sell. And I mean, again, we're looking at seasonal differences. So the average days on market for detached home increased a little bit from last year. So buyers are taking more time. You're still seeing some multiple offer situations, but not as many. And again, the pricing really matters. So we are seeing detached homes at about 50 days, and attached homes just a little bit less than that, actually, at 48 days. So that means right now we have 2.8 months of inventory of detached homes, right? So that means if we didn't put a single home on the market again, it would take us 2.8 months to get through all of that inventory before we ran out of houses to sell. And for attached homes, that's 2.3 months. So we've still got a fair amount of inventory, but it's not quite a balanced market yet, right? A balanced market is going to be 4 to 6 months of supply, okay? So this is still a seller's leaning market, but it's not like it was in 2021, right? Where people were just dying to get into a home. So there's more choice for buyers, and there's still a lot of leverage for buyers, but for sellers, but you still have to price it really good. So if you are a seller heading into 2026, here's the reality. You can still get good pricing. You cannot rely on sloppy prep or aspirational pricing. Homes that are clean, staged, and priced correctly are moving, and they're moving really fast. I just sold a listing from the time that we went on the market to the time that we went under contract was 10 days. And that's because we really looked at the other homes in the area, what the market was doing. And when we didn't get what we wanted in the first week, we dropped the price and we got an offer same day that we dropped the price. And we didn't even drop it significantly. So pricing is really, really important. Pardon the glare on my glasses. So what this means for buyers is that there's less competition, right? Again, we're still seeing some multi-offer situations, but not as many as we saw 5 years ago. There's still room to negotiate. Inspections and appraisals are really important, right? Pay attention to what you're buying. And the prices are stable, right? We're not seeing things skyrocket like we have in the past. So if you're waiting for the crash, you're going to be waiting for a while. The data just doesn't support that sort of narrative. So the final takeaway for December of 2025, the year end, is that the Albuquerque metro housing market is stable. The prices are moderating. They're not collapsing. So we can all just breathe and relax. Inventory is improving, but it's still tight, right? You don't want to wait around. Strategy matters more than speed. And as we head into 2026, this is a market that really rewards preparation. So make sure your house is going to show well, right? Do any little repairs that need doing. Get it show ready, and really have a realistic look at your pricing. If you're thinking about buying or selling, and you'd like a strategy that's tailored to your neighborhoods, a solid look at the comps, a solid look at what's happening, give me a call. I'm happy to help you out. Take good care, and I'll talk to you soon.